INEOS is on a serious hunt for a right back to come and either be ahead of Diogo Dalot or be the backup. Two names are on the list now, topping it in a Moroccan 26-year-old playing for Bayern Munich and, of course, the usual resident in terms of options, that is Jeremie Frimpong. But what exactly is going on? What is the status of the two players? My name is Webb. This is the United of Sport. Like, share, and subscribe. And as we do get into this right back talk, I've promised you several times that I'll be back here to talk about this right back department, where clearly Man United needed someone, considering that there are plans to let go of Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Now, what we know is that it is almost advanced, whereas it's not as prominent. It is nearly advanced that Aaron Wan-Bissaka is being monitored by several clubs, including most seriously West Ham United. And the idea for Man United is if someone comes with about 15 million quid for Aaron Wan-Bissaka, let him go. His contract is running out on the year left, so certainly this is the time for him to be sold. He might be headed back to London, but not that the deal is done and concrete, but there are talks that really seem to be progressing. But when it comes to the right back position, we only have Diogo Dalot now, who is the main guy, who we know that INEOS have clearly shown it. They want to back this boy as part of the project that's coming. And whereas he has not been very consistent as a right back, to be honest, I think he has shown signs that he can be a good player. He can improve. He works hard. Cristiano Ronaldo spoke about him and his attitude. Certainly, he's not a player Man United are willing to lose now. Now, here are the two names that are emerging. We know that Frimpong has been there for some time from Bayer Leverkusen. He had a buyout clause of 40 million euros that ran out last week. So his buyout clause is done. So meaning now it's about negotiating with of course the player on the player side, but most importantly with Bayer Leverkusen on whether they want to let him go or not. It's just now a matter of negotiations. Now we're talking of a guy who is so integral since he joined Bayer Leverkusen. He has been so integral in everything that Xabi Alonso has achieved. The double they won, they were almost winning a treble. They reached the European final, the Europa League, only to lose to Atalanta. But we're talking of a player who scored and assisted 42 times. He contributed 42 goals. That's 21 scored, 21 assisted in 83 games for Xabi Alonso and his Bayer Leverkusen. Honestly, that's not a player you want to lose in your next season when you're going to be playing in the Champions League. So definitely, he's an important player, but he also has made it clear he wants to move. He has been wanted by clubs like Liverpool, I think clubs like Paris Saint-Germain, Manchester City, Real Madrid, Man United. He has been a player of interest to all the big clubs around Europe. That is Jeremie Frimpong. So he's proven. We know what he can do. He gives you, more options as a player. He's a more complete right back. If he joined Man United, Frimpong will certainly be starting ahead of Diogo Dalot. There's no doubt about that. And I'm sure he can fit into the kind of play that Eric Ten Hag wants to instill at Man United. Now, this new player who now is being linked to Man United, the Bayern player, is Noussair Mazraoui. He's a Moroccan 26-year-old right back who has he's not your hottest right back, and definitely if he joined Man United, it would be a backup for Diogo Dalot. Diogo Dalot would be ahead of him most likely, but we're talking of a player who is good. I think is at the point where he wants to leave, because Bayern are in a sell to buy situation. They have brought in players, I think, worth about 150 million quid already. For them to bring in more, they need to be letting go of some players. Now, they are struggling to get buyers for players like Joshua Kimmich, who might stay. If Joshua Kimmich stays, then they brought back Stanisic from Bayer Leverkusen. He returned. So meaning the depth in the right back is already there for them. So this guy is becoming clearly surplus to requirements. Mazraoui. So then Bayern have got struggling to sell players like Matthijs de Ligt. They are failing to agree on figures with clubs that want, players like Matthijs de Ligt. They have top earners like Serge Gnabry, whom are heavy on them. They are struggling to find clubs that will be taking them. And their former president made it clear. Uli Honeb said it clearly that they are now in a situation where they have got to sell if they are going to buy more players, if you are going to fit in the UEFA fair play rules. So they're in a tight situation where they've got to sell. So for that reason, Mazraoui is one of the obvious players who can easily be sold. They got him for free from Ajax. He worked with Erik ten Hag before at Ajax. Got him for free in 2022. Right now, Bayern are saying they value him. Okay, his market value could be just about 30 million euros. That's about his market value. But you don't think clubs will be willing to pay 30 million euros for a player Bayern got for free, because any amount Bayern get for him would be profit. So he could realistically depart for about 20 million euros. So that's where they are. So Bayern are in a situation where they've got to sell. The easier sales can be him, about 20 million euros. Even West Ham seem to be interested in him. Perhaps they're even more serious and advanced. But Man United also look at him as a possible player to bring in because he's available and he's cheap. And he can also be brought in terms of in a double deal, because Bayern need money if they're going to bring their Jonathan Tah, whom they agreed with already. If they're going to bring in all these players they're eyeing with the rebuild that they're trying to work on with Vincent Company, they need money. Now, if Man United can give them, say, 55 or 60 million euros for both Delete and Mazraoui, that would be a deal for them. They are getting money. 60 million euros could be good money for them to find a marquee player to come and add on what they are building. So that's the bit of the situation that where they are. But the reality is, Man United are seriously looking for a right back, and these two are clearly on the list. Frimpong, of course, you've got to trade clearly, rather smartly with Bayer Leverkusen, because it's difficult to convince them to sell. And now that the buyout clause is even out and no one triggered it, it is easy for them to instead hike the fee, to say, okay, give us more because we want the player. Just to fail you, they hike the amount they will be asking for him. So it's an interesting phase where we are. But either way, we need a player to push Diogo Dalot. Either as career first, if Frimpong joined, Dalot would have to work hard to be able to start ahead of him. If if it's Mazraoui, then he's good enough to push Diogo Dalot and get the best out of him. So either way, for me, it's a win for Man United. And honestly, if you look at a player like Frimpong, even if we had to pay the buyout clause that he had, even if we had to pay 45 million, if we really have that amount of money, I think it's worth it. He's worth it, and he's in the right age to come and fit into what INEOS are building. So it would be bad if we boost all these departments with world-class talent, the central defense, the midfield, the striking, and we don't work on the right back and still and the left back as well, which I'll talk about later, and think we are improving. That would be wrong. So I think INEOS want to collectively improve all departments of the team so that they hand over a well-constituted army to Erik ten Hag, the general, to lead a well-constituted army, and then there won't be excuses at all, because all departments are balanced. Because we know, we've seen what imbalance in just one department can cause to an entire team. The lack of proper defensive partnerships already caused havoc for Man United last season. And we saw how Erik ten Hag was struggling and trying to explain to people who had no clue about football how important it was for him to have his fit best players. So you want a proper balance in the team, and with such players coming in, you're probably seeing the balance and the depth. So that for me is an would be a good one. But let me know. I think realistic, perhaps what INEOS might be willing to spend on the right back position. I believe they don't want to spend so much on the right back and the left back because they have hope in Luke Shaw. But of course, Diogo Dalot there as well is proving, he's getting coming of age. So probably what's realistic is they might be willing to spend no more than 30 million euros or 20 to 30 million euros on a right back. So any player who can fit in that, if you can get Frimpong for that, that would be the best. But if not, I think for me, I trust Dalot. We can spend 20 or 15 million euros, get this backup for Dalot, then spend another 20, get Miguel Guterres from Madrid, or the Bournemouth kid, Milos Kakiesh, if he wants to move. But I don't think these are departments where we need to spend a lot of money. The more money that we need to spend has got to be on the holding midfield department. That's where the most money has got to be spent, where I think we need probably two players to come in. And of course, it's good we are talking of Richard Rioch and Manuel Ugarte. If we can spend on those, get them in and proper, get another two other center backs, because those would be fairly more expensive. Right back and the left back. The forwards we okay. I don't think we need to be going in for a winger. Maybe if you want to add one on loan or what. But in terms of spending, I think for me, that would be okay. The reality is, United now, after signing Lenny Yoro and Joshua Zirkzee, with about 100 million pounds, just more 100 million pounds can sort all our departments. Two other centre backs would fit into that. 100 million. Two centre backs, forget about Jared Branthwaite. If you bring in Mathis Delete, even if you don't bring a second one, by the way, just bring in Delete and keep one of those for a season. Keep Harry Maguire, for example, probably for a season. Bring Delete for about 35 million pounds or thereabout. 35 million pounds Delete. Bring in one of these, let's say bringing this Mazraoui, if you want, on the right back for about 15 million pounds. Then that's 50. Then use the 50 to bring in Ugarte in holding midfield. Maybe, okay, you need another 20. Okay, 100 might not be enough. Okay, let's say 140. Which you think INEOS has, really? They can agree on that structure. They've shown that they can have that kind of money. It's still tight, but I think it's doable. I think if we spend on the right place, departments, the right amounts, this squad is being constituted. I feel like we are close. We are close to it, guys. That's what I feel. You can drop down your comment and give me your feeling about this whole situation. Because the reality is, we are not going to sign everyone. That's the thing. Not in one summer. Already, I think INEOS are already doing so much. We are not going to sign everyone in one summer, but we can make the signings that can cause a significant impact on the squad as we start the upcoming season. My name is Webb. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll be back later, fam.